Have you ever felt like you're just at war with your own mind? Like you're trying to steer the ship, but there's a full-on mutiny happening below deck, and it's being led by your own thoughts and feelings. It is so frustrating, it's exhausting, and you know what? It's an incredibly common experience. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on why this internal conflict even happens, and, way more importantly, what we can actually do about it.
So let's just dive right in with the big question. Is your brain actually working against you? Because it really feels that way, doesn't it? The very tool we have to navigate the world often feels like the source of our biggest problems, the anxiety, the worry, the self-doubt. But what if I told you it's not a bug? What if it's a feature? One that's just running on some very, very old software.
To get this, we really need to understand the ancient programming that's running inside our modern skulls. See, it turns out your brain isn't trying to sabotage you. Not at all. It's trying to protect you. The problem is, it's just not very good at telling the difference between a hungry saber-toothed tiger and, say, an uncomfortable thought.
Just let this number sink in for a second. 30%. If you're struggling right now, you are so far from alone. Research shows that at any given moment, a staggering 30% of adults are dealing with a major psychiatric disorder. See, psychological pain isn't some weird anomaly. It's a universal part of being human.
Okay, so why is this pain so normal? Well, it's because for hundreds of thousands of years, this is what our brain did. It evolved to be a threat detection and problem-solving machine. Its number one job, its only job really, was to scan the horizon, find anything that could possibly go wrong, and figure out how to avoid it. Our survival literally depended on it.
Let's picture two of our ancestors, right? There's Caveman 1. He's the anxious one. He sees a blurry shape in the distance, and his mind just immediately goes to the worst-case scenario. Bear. And he runs. Then you've got Caveman 2. He's the chill one. He sees the same shape and thinks, ooh, blueberries, and he just strolls right towards it. Now, who do you think passed on their genes? Yeah, we are the descendants of the grumpy, jumpy cave person who always puts safety ahead of certainty. We are hardwired to assume the worst.
And this is the absolute crux of the issue. That amazing survival system is still running, full steam, but our world has changed completely. The problem is, that system can't tell the difference between an external threat, like a real bear, and an internal one, like the thought I'm not good enough or that feeling of anxiety in your chest. It treats a painful memory with the same red alert urgency as a predator chasing you on the savannah.
So what happens when we try to fight back against this ancient programming? Well, we fall right into something psychologists call the control trap. And this is the completely counterintuitive reason why all our best efforts to feel better, to wrestle our feelings into submission, usually end up making us feel so much worse.
This quote comes from this fascinating experiment. People were told to hold a pendulum and were given one simple instruction. Whatever you do, don't let it swing forward and back. And what do you think happened? Of course it swung forward and back. The very act of trying to suppress the thought, of trying not to do it, actually activated the movement. This is exactly what happens with our feelings. The more you tell yourself, don't be anxious, the more your brain just zooms right in on anxiety.
And this brings us to the paradox at the heart of this whole thing. The anxiety, the sadness, the fear, those feelings aren't actually the main source of our long-term suffering. No, the real problem, the thing that keeps us stuck, is the war we wage against them. It's that constant, desperate struggle to control and eliminate our own internal experience.
We have to make a really critical distinction here, the difference between pain and suffering. Pain is just an unavoidable part of a meaningful life. We are all going to experience loss and fear and disappointment. It's just baked into the human contract. Suffering, though, is that extra layer of anguish we pile on top by fighting with our pain, by telling ourselves we shouldn't be feeling this way. So pain is inevitable. Suffering, it turns out, is optional.
Okay, so if fighting our feelings is a losing battle, then what are we supposed to do? Well, we start by learning to listen differently. Our minds are constantly broadcasting all this information, but we've got to learn how to tell the difference between the useful, life-saving signals and all the distracting, unhelpful noise.
The first step is to completely reframe our relationship with fear. True fear isn't some enemy we have to conquer. It's a gift, seriously. It's our intuition, our most ancient and reliable survival signal, and it's trying to tell us something really important about what's happening around us right now. We have to learn to respect it again.
And let's be really clear about what intuition is. This isn't some kind of magic or psychic power. It's actually a highly sophisticated cognitive process. Your brain is absorbing millions of bits of data from your surroundings, way more than your conscious mind could ever track. Intuition is just the high-speed summary of all that analysis, delivered to you as a gut feeling. It's about perception, not prediction.
So what does that signal actually feel like? Well, your intuition is incredibly good at picking up on manipulation. Think about when someone uses phrases like, "We're a team now," to create this instant false bond. Or when they overwhelm you with tons of unnecessary details to distract you. Or they offer help you didn't ask for. Even charm, when it's used as a tool, these are all tactics your intuition flags as off. It's not just a bad vibe, it's your brain detecting specific red flags.
And this brings us to the clearest way to tell the signal from the noise. True fear is a signal. It's happening right now. It is tied to your immediate environment, to what you are perceiving with your senses. Worry, on the other hand, is noise. It's a story. It's not happening now. It's a narrative you're creating in your mind about a potential future. Learning to spot that difference, that's a superpower.
So, we learned to listen for the signal of true fear. Great, but what about all that noise? The worry, the anxiety, the self-doubt. Well, that requires a completely new approach. Instead of trying to turn the volume down, we're going to learn how to change our relationship to it entirely.
This quote gets right to the heart of the control trap. It's a core idea from a type of therapy called acceptance and commitment therapy. And the paradox is just profound. The more unwilling you are to experience an uncomfortable feeling, the more that feeling is going to dominate your life. Your resistance, your fight against it, is the very thing that gives it power and keeps it hanging around.
I absolutely love this metaphor. Imagine your mind has two dials, like on a stereo. One is for your pain or anxiety level. Now, you've probably spent your whole life trying to grab that dial and force it down, right? With not much success. But there's another dial, the willingness dial, and that one you have 100% control over. The goal isn't to get rid of the pain, it's to turn up your willingness to have it be there.
Now let's be crystal clear about what willingness means. It is not about liking the pain, it's not resignation, it's not just giving up. It is an active, courageous choice. It's the act of consciously making space for discomfort, not because you want it, but because something else is more important to you. Living the life you want to live, doing the things you value.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? How do we practice this? This next part is about a super practical technique you can use to put some space between you and your thoughts, so you can stop treating them like they're absolute truths you have to obey.
We're going to do a quick exercise. Just look at this word, milk. When you see it, what comes to mind? Probably, cold, white, creamy liquid. Maybe you think of cereal or a cow or a glass of it. Right now, the word and the actual thing are totally fused together in your mind.
Okay, now I want you to actually say the word out loud. Over and over again. Go ahead, just try it. Milk, 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 milk. Just keep repeating it pretty quickly. Milk, milk, milk. What's starting to happen? That connection between the sound and the meaning, it starts to get a little weird, doesn't it?
Keep going. Milk, 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 milk. After about 30 seconds of that, what is it? It's just a sound, right? A weird movement of your mouth and your tongue. You have just separated the word from its meaning. This is a technique called diffusion, and you can do the exact same thing with your anxious thoughts. A thought like, "I'm a failure," can go from being an objective truth to just a string of sounds, a story your mind is telling, not a fact.
And all of this leaves us with a final, really powerful question to think about. We spend so much of our lives desperately trying to control our feelings, to get rid of the bad ones and cling to the good ones. But what if that's the wrong goal? What if the whole point isn't to feel better, but to get better at feeling? To build a life that's big enough to hold all of it, the joy and the pain, so you can finally stop fighting and start living.